You ever notice how kids can be trained to do something before they even know what the words mean? Like repeating a bedtime prayer. Lips moving, voices mumbling, eyes half shut, and they don't understand a damn bit of it. They don't know what trespasses are. They don't know why they're asking for daily bread when they just finished eating. But they do it anyway, because they're told to. And that right there is the whole point. It isn't about God, it's about obedience. Before a kid can form their own thoughts, they're taught someone else's. Before they can question, they're told not to. And before they can reason, they're told repetition equals truth. Say it enough times, it becomes holy. Even if you don't really know what the hell you're saying. I see it with my grandkids. One's autistic, both are little. Their other grandparents taught them bedtime prayers. They repeat them by rote. No comprehension, just habit. At my house, we don't push it, and you know what happens. They don't pray. They just run around until they drop. And guess what? Nobody dies. It's proof prayer isn't instinct, it's programming. And imagine what that does over a lifetime. If you're trained from the very beginning that obedience equals goodness and doubt equals sin, you're not learning how to think, you're learning how to comply. You're being told, don't test, don't question, don't reason, just repeat. That's not faith, that's conditioning. And once that conditioning sets in, it doesn't stop at bedtime. It doesn't stop in the church. It follows you. You grow up wired to believe obedience to authority is morality. That questioning is betrayal, that loyalty matters more than truth. So when you become an adult, the training shifts. It's no longer our Father who art in heaven. Now it's party lines and political slogans. Now it's sitting in a pew or at a rally, nodding along, never raising your hand to ask, wait, how does that make sense? Because asking is disrespect. Asking is weakness. And once you're labeled weak, you're not just doubting God. You're doubting your family, your church, your community. That's the genius of it. It fuses belief with belonging. To doubt the pastor is to doubt God. To doubt the leader is to doubt your people. And if you doubt your people, what are you? An outsider, a traitor, a heretic. So even when something makes zero sense, you bite your tongue, because silence means safety. And that's why so many people can't admit when they're wrong. It's not that they're dumb, it's that the cost of being wrong feels like exile. If you've been raised to believe obedience equals goodness, then disobedience feels evil. Even when disobedience just means asking, hey, are we sure about this? So they double down, the evidence piles up, reality screams in their face, and still, they cling. Because admitting they were wrong feels like self-destruction. This is how you end up with people voting against their own interests. Not because they want to suffer, but because loyalty feels safer than survival. They've been told since birth that faith means never doubting, and politics just plugs into that circuit. If the leader says it, it must be true, even if it's not. If the leader promises it, it must be good, even if it's screws you. Look at how religion frames authority. God is never wrong, so the pastor is never wrong. The Bible is unquestionable, so the party line is unquestionable. Doubt is sin, so dissent is treason. Same skeleton, different skin. That's why authoritarian leaders drool over religious conditioning, because it builds citizens who will obey reflexively. People who equate questioning with betrayal. People who think loyalty is sacred, even when it's suicidal. And once you've been raised inside that system, propaganda doesn't need to persuade you. It just needs to remind you who the enemy is. That's why AM radio in the 90s, Fox News in the 2000s, and podcasts now all sound the same. They're not teaching you how to think, they're training you who to hate. They don't need evidence. They just need to trigger the reflex that's already there. It's why people will stand in line for hours to vote for politicians who cut their benefits, ship their jobs, and gut their healthcare. It's not that they enjoy being screwed. It's that loyalty feels righteous. And you want to know the cruel joke? The people they are loyal to know this. They exploit it. They laugh about it. They bank on it. Because if you can get someone to worship obedience itself, you don't need to defend your policies. You just keep the rituals alive. That's the danger of religion. Not just that it spreads bad theology or bad morality, but that it builds the mental framework for authoritarianism. It conditions people to accept what they're told without evidence, to obey without question, to see loyalty as more important than truth. And once that wiring is installed, it is easily hijacked by anyone who claims divine authority, whether that authority is a priest or a politician. So when people say religion gives life meaning, I say look closer. What meaning? The meaning of obedience. The meaning of never challenging? The meaning of being loyal to leaders who exploit your loyalty. That's not meaning, that's manipulation. And here's the tragic part. Many of these people aren't evil. They might even want to help, but they've been taught since they could talk that doubt is sin and obedience is holy. So they funnel their good intentions into loyalty instead of justice, into identity instead of solidarity. And the people at the top know this. They have always known. That's why religion has always been the friend of kings, emperors, dictators, and demagogues. Because nothing builds obedience like prayer before thought. It starts with a child whispering words they don't understand. It ends with an adult casting a ballot for leaders they never question. That's the through line. That's the pattern. And that's why religion isn't just dangerous for your soul. It's dangerous for your society. Because it teaches obedience first. If you make obedience holy, anything can be justified. So when you ask why people keep voting against their own interests, why they stay loyal to the very leaders who exploit them, why they double down instead of admit error, the answer is simple. They were trained for this, from the very beginning. Religion didn't just give them faith, it gave them the reflex of obedience, and obedience once sanctified is the most dangerous drug of all. Thanks for watching. See you next time.